it is very important that we take these next verses that we're going to study in Daniel chapter 8 about the Antichrist slowly. So we're going to go one verse at a time, and it's because I actually believe that these verses are paramount in understanding the great apostasy. So the video clips that you just saw were intentional for us to get our attention toward what the Antichrist is really going to do and the nature of what he's going to do. It is important that we not put Daniel chapter 8 in the past. Obviously, there have been types, but unfortunately, because of the commentaries and the rallying around Jerome as putting this particular part of Daniel chapter 8 in the past, but then the interpretation to this exact vision in the future, because of that confusion and bad hermeneutics, because that has gotten accepted by many, what has occurred is that the interpretations have rallied around the idea that this is something in the past, and they have not done, I think, an excellent job in the interpretation. So this is a bold claim, and I realize that, so I feel like I have to prove it to you. I would like you to, if you do not already have this, go to blueletterbible.org and type in Daniel chapter 8 and start studying out 8 through 14 and 23 through 25. And looking at what words, look along with me at what words are there and what words are not there. Let's start looking at the range of meaning of these words, because if you go to Daniel chapter 8, verse 9 and following, and then you click on, in Blue Letter Bible, the tools on the left, the little section next to the verse that says tools, you will get in Hebrew everything defined out, and you can see exactly for yourself what I am talking about and where I'm getting this information. Certainly, I have also read other books from other people that have done their own digging and research on this, far more than even me. But I do want to point it out. Remember, I do believe that this is still in the future, and I'm going to seek to prove that in the following videos. And it's going to take a little while. We're going to go slow and go verse by verse because of how important it is. So the clips that you saw before this particular slide showed war breaking out in heaven. And that is because in verse 10, we are going to see that happening in the very next verse. So I want this whole particular series on the Antichrist in Daniel chapter 8 to be about showing you war breaking out in heaven and the parallels to Revelation, especially Revelation 12. Okay, so the next clip that you saw was a clip that had some verses from Isaiah 14, and you see there the exact goal of Satan. The Bible tells us what Satan's goal is, and I think that it is important to not be dogmatic that for sure how much of that goal that God is going to give him or how much he's not going to give him in those 3.5 years when he reigns as if he is God. Of course, he's not. He's an imposter. However, his goal, in his own words right there in Isaiah 14, show us that Satan's goal is to reign in the heavens, to break into the heavens, okay? And so I believe that in Daniel chapter 8, we are actually going to see that in some and to some degree, he is actually allowed to do that. And this would be extremely deceptive, especially if people had in mind just this earthly thing. But if they see these terrifying sights and signs and wonders in the heavens displaying great miraculous things that the Antichrist brings to people's mind, and they've never seen something like this before, and he sets up as if he is God in the actual heavens, now that is something that could be very deceptive and make people think he is actually God himself. Okay, so the apostasy is going to be actually big, and I would propose even that big, okay, as to reach into the heavens. All right, so let's look at this screen and in Hebrew, the Hebrews, they read from right to left. And so you can see that first, I'm going to call them scripture bubble. The first scripture bubble is just Daniel chapter 8, verse 9, that verse in Hebrew. And I am highlighting in yellow the last word, which means, and we're going to define it out, it means beautiful. So you see where the yellow arrow points to the word beautiful? That's what that matches up with. And I have, if you notice in the second scripture bubble, I have the word land crossed out, which is a bold thing to do, unless, of course, you can go back and research it yourself, and you can see that the word land is not in the Hebrew. That is assumed into the text, and I would propose that it is assumed. A lot of the assumptions in this Daniel chapter 8 is because of the belief that this has already happened in the past. Okay, so we're going to get rid of, in the future videos, this video and the future videos, we're going to get rid of all the assumptions, and I'm going to cross out the words that are just simply not there, okay? And we're going to define out this word beautiful so that we, when we are making a list of distinctives of the Antichrist, we don't want to have a list that's more narrow than it should be. We want to have the full range of meaning from this text and other texts to see what it is we really should be looking for. Okay, so that word beautiful, if you look in the third bubble, it gives a definition. It's a word that means splendor, beautiful, glorious, goodly, and pleasant. So now I'm going to read the verse in the second bubble. That's Daniel 8, verse 9, and I am going to put that definition in there. From one of them, the little horn, that is the Antichrist, will emerge or emerged and grew exceedingly toward the south and the east and toward the splendor, toward the beautiful, toward the glorious, goodly, the pleasant. Okay, so if you look just to the left of me on the screen, I have arrows, and the one is going east and one is going south, and then we don't know exactly what this toward the beautiful means. Is it talking about Jerusalem? It very well could be, but I don't think we need to be dogmatic about that. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make, is let's not assume that word land because it's not really in there. Okay, so let's go to the last scripture bubble, and that is Daniel chapter 8, verse 23. I'm going to read it in my version, which is CSB. I'm going to read that first. Near the end of their kingdoms, when the rebels have reached the full measure of their sin, a ruthless king, skilled in intrigue, will come to the throne. Okay, so this is more information about the Antichrist. So when we take verse 9 and verse 23 and we compare them, we just learned a few more things to add to our list of what we're looking for in this Antichrist figure. Now let's look at the screen, and I'll read it in this version. And in the latter portion of their dominion, so that's, we know from other research we've already done, that we have the Babylon system, the Babylonian system at this time, and we have the 10 that have come up, and then we have the Antichrist, and they're all on the scene at the same time, okay? So around in that time frame. So in the latter period of their dominion, when the wrongdoers have run their course, a king, so now we know the Antichrist will be a king, will arise, insolent and skilled in intrigue. Intrigue means being able to understand mysteries, or perhaps being curious, or a mysterious side to your own self. So either he himself there's a mysterious curiosity that is invoked by him, or it could mean that he is able to understand mysteries, which it could be either one. Either he's really skilled at intriguing people and making people curious about him, and that helps him to gain power, or he's able to understand mysteries and maybe even explain them, and people find this intriguing. I don't know. Okay, so this is definitely something we can add to our list of things to look for when we are considering what the Antichrist will look like. Also, I did want to read from my Bible. It says, where it says, ruthless king, it actually says strong of face. And then where it says intrigue, it says understanding riddles. So just wanted to put that out there as well.